Reading 53 from the Psychological Commentaries on the Teaching of Gurdjieff and Ouspensky by Dr. Maurice, Nicoll, Volume 3. Great Animal House, November 16, 1946. A note on false personality. It is said in the work that to be awake is to have no false personality. The more one is in false personality, and all the consequences resulting from meeting daily life through false personality, the more one is asleep, while on the contrary, the less one meets daily life through false personality, the more one is awake. We understand that false personality is composed of imagination, of false ideas about oneself. Some people think of false personality as being something blatant, loud and boasting. But this is wrong. False personality in one person may sing, "What a fine fellow I am," and in another person sing, "Poor little me." But the action on being is the same in both cases. That is, its power to produce disharmony in being is the same, and the effort necessary to bring it face to face with facts about oneself equally difficult. The object of uncritical self-observation is to collect facts about oneself. For this reason, observing eye must not be right in front of oneself, in the sphere which false personality influences, but further back. The power of self-observation increases as observing eye moves more internally. This partly depends on the deepening of feeling or valuation of the work, when surface enthusiasms are seen through. We spoke recently of this work forming itself in the intellectual center as some transmitting instrument that higher centers can touch eventually, built up gradually until all its parts are in order. This is done by two things: effort of thinking in a new way and valuation. Valuation lies in the emotional part of the intellectual center at first. This, it was said recently, begins to awaken buried conscience in the emotional center itself. During this process, observing eye moves inwards more internally and begins to pass ultimately into real conscience. It is like John the Baptist coming before Jesus. First, it is necessary to have right magnetic center. This can bring us to the work, but cannot hold us in it. Then comes observing eye, and through it, the application of the teaching to oneself. Then, one observes oneself in the light of the work, not in the light of the past or social life. Then, finally, real conscience begins to appear as steward. Now, nothing of this can happen as long as false personality is in the forefront and governs being. So it is necessary to think about what false personality is in oneself, and not assume one knows what it is. As said, it takes many forms and yet is the same thing. It is false, a lie, that one insists on telling to oneself. One is then governed by a liar, in fact by a hasnamus. It is said that the chief cause of giving wrong impressions is false personality. This hint can help in one's search for it. But to me it seems that the most terrible things about false personality are the narrow judgments it makes and the tight, fixed attitudes in which it imprisons us. You might think that a rigid, inflexible life has nothing to do with false personality. In that case, you have not understood enough about false personality and its different forms in people. Now, only the full power of the work can redeem us from false personality. If you feel the work as truth, apart from thinking it is true, then you let into you the only force that can weaken false personality. Consider some of the things the work says, such as, man cannot do. Man is a multiplicity and not a unity. Man has no real I. Man is not conscious. And man is asleep. Such teachings, if deeply felt, surely cannot be acceptable to false personality. On the contrary, if their meaning is deeply enough felt and realized through one's own observation of oneself, they make the existence of false personality impossible. That is, they lead to awakening, since, as was said, to be awake is to have no false personality. Some of you will remember that recently we began to touch on the meaning of that strange remark in the Gospels, "Judge not." But is it so strange? How can you judge when you begin to realize your own nothingness? The work teaches that a man, through self-observation, must come to the point of realizing that he is nothing, that not only he really knows nothing, but is nothing. This is not acceptable to false personality. All real work on oneself leads from one sense of nothingness to another, and deeper sense of one's nothingness. Not as a sentimental idea coming from the rapid adjustment of false personality, not a pretense, but through momentary and actual and overwhelming realization. How can nothingness judge anybody? You know, it is also said in the Gospels, "With what measure ye mete, it shall be measured unto you." What does this mean? It means on one side that as you judge, so shall you be judged. That is, having spent a lifetime in judging others, through your idea of your superiority, through false personality, then you shall be judged yourself. By whom? By yourself, by your own false personality. That is at least one haunting reason why it is necessary to see and separate from false personality as quickly as you can. The Pharisees were full of false personality. That is why they were attacked by Jesus. It is just the same in this work. The false personality is the Pharisee in oneself that judges everyone. Now, in this work, in the second line of work, that is, work with one another, we should not judge. The work never speaks of judging. It speaks instead of understanding, with external considering. In this work, we have to learn how to hold one another, include one another, not murder one another. And is not all murdering due to judging, as if one were superior?